welcome to JW News. I'm Gage Wyant.
And I'm Colonel Wyant. What a lovely day it is to be alive.
It's beautiful.
In this fabulous decade of the 60s.
Why, yes.
And our lovely dear mother, Mrs. Jennifer Wyant.
She's a beautiful woman.
Who was kind enough to let us host this at her house.
Born in the 20s.
Yes. Now, we are going to go to our always lovely news reporter, Mrs. Jolly. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And she's going to be bringing us the latest on Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
Hi, I am Jolly Smortonheimer today with Dr. King. So, Dr. King, tell me about your dream.
Nice to meet you, Jolly. You're a fine young woman. Well, I had a dream that one day this nation would rise up and live out the meaning of its creed, etc. You can figure it all out on your own. I'm not explaining anymore.
So tell me more about the Civil Rights Movement and your March on Washington.
Well, leading up to the March on Washington, there was a huge movement for civil rights shortly after the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964, followed by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and all proudly supported this until the day I died.
Yes.
I need to speak with you, Dr. King. Would you please come with me?
What is this about?
I will explain later.
I'm gonna call my wife.
Excuse me, there we go.
Thank you for that, Jolly. Now we go live to Smitty Woman Yangerman Jensen, News Channel JW's greatest news reporter.
No, he was number one.
Hi, I'm Smitty Worman Jankerman Henson, here with that guy.
Hi.
We're going to ask him a few questions about his experiences in the Vietnam War. What can you tell me about the Vietnam War?
Well, Vietnam is a war that took place in Vietnam where we fought against the Vietnamese.
Really?
Yes, it lasted about 9 years from 1964 to 1973.
Very interesting. Can you explain some of the things you encountered during the war?
Well, let me tell you, when I was in Vietnam, they had these things called punji stakes, which were traps in the ground, and they covered them with fecal matter, otherwise known as dookie. And when you stepped on them, the dookie would enter your bloodstream, and you would die from poison. Now, since we were so technologically superior, we used this thing called Agent Orange, which ended up just destroying all the vegetation.
Interesting.
Yes. Which basically took away the element they had a surprise. So they thought, we're going to dig some holes in the ground to avoid the Agent Orange. But that backfired because we used flamethrowers and burned those rats out of their holes. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I have my friend here.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you to explain your
Well,
friend
this is
there.
Steven. The Vietnamese soldiers were notorious for decapitations, and we wanted to show them, no, you can't hurt us. So we kept his head as a memorial for
So
the
did
Vietnam War.
that stop them from decapitating your soldiers?
No, it didn't stop them. It seemed to anger them, actually. So the decapitations became more violent.
Wow, well, guess you don't win every war, huh?
No, we didn't. Thank you, Smithy, for that mighty fine interview.
Yes, Vietnam was a very brutal and bloody war and was also considered one of the very first wars that the U.S. has ever lost.
John F. Kennedy, however, believed that South America was a bigger threat to the United States than Asia was. Now, now, we are going to go live to Jolly, which I still cannot pronounce her last name, with John F. Kennedy.
Thank you, Colonel Wyatt. I'm here now with President Kennedy. Tell us about yourself, Mr. Kennedy.
Well, I boosted economic growth in the country by advancing a series of sweeping individual and business tax reductions in 1963.
Wow. Can you tell us more about your foreign policies?
Well, I gave the go-ahead for the invasion of Cuba, even though it was a total failure. I also increased our involvement, in Vietnam by placing over 16,000 military advisors over there.
I'm now getting some word of breaking news, so we're going to go back
Thanks,
to the
Jolly.
office for a
As
live
she
report.
said, we have breaking news. Oh, my bad. Breaking news. The Soviet Union has been discovered to have stored nuclear weapons in Cuba, only 90 miles away from our border.
That's right, Gage. Mr. Kennedy has created a naval blockade around Cuba and is currently speaking to the leader of the Soviet Union now to resolve the issue.
This just in. President Kennedy has solved the issue by forming some kind of... Betsy just fell. Sorry.
She did.
Secret deal with the Soviet Union. I'm sure... Betsy, quit falling!
She is so uncoordinated.
I'm sure we will find out more of this secret deal when the season is right.
Which is now. The season just became right. President Kennedy told the Soviets that he would remove the American missiles from Turkey if they removed theirs from Cuba. Now, we go to a commercial break. We'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to today's segment of ABS, otherwise known as Aunt Bertha Speaks. Betsy, what are you doing in my shop? Get out of here. Get. Anyways, me and my trusty Steve here are going to be talking about the upheaval of 1968. Come with us. Whoa, easy. Thank you. The upheaval of 1968 was a bunch of riots sparked by Lyndon Johnson when he said he was going to finish the war in Vietnam. The war in Vietnam has already lost its popularity with the American people, so they wanted no part in it. So later, Johnson decided he was not going to run for president again, and he was trying to find a peace agreement with them. Now, shortly after this, MLK was assassinated. May he rest in peace. And this sparked several other riots. So it went from peace to happiness to violence. Come on, let's get back. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for joining us. Effort. There's a nip in the air. The cold's not good for my crops.
Breaking news. The moon has landed.
Plumber! Oh my goodness. He meant we have successfully landed on the moon. The astronauts were Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong.
This achievement was not only one small step for man, it was a giant leap for mankind. It made Americans feel superior to the Soviets and made the Soviets believe that we have achieved technological superiority over them. That's what I said.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Colonel Wyatt.
And I'm Gage Wyatt.
And we're signing off.
Bye-bye. Now we are going to go to our lovely news reporter, Miss Jolly.
God dang it, Gage.
Oh, we're not supposed to
No!
say it. Oh.
Okay. Oh my god!
Now we are going live to Smitty Worman Jagerman Jensen.
Jolly.